lounging. Yeah, how you living, Ski? Yo, I'm just lounging, B. Yeah, how you living, G? Yo, I'm just lounging, B. Yeah, how you living? I'm lounging. It's the
All right, good. So we're here with Nurf, my latest guest, second guest on the podcast, Lounging with Larry. But Nurf, why don't we go a little bit of introduction? Like I said, I'm not going to try and pronounce your last name as I know how it is. I have one of the easiest Polish names in the universe, and people see that SKI at the end, and then they panic, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, my name is Nurf Nadarevic. So it's Nadarevic.
Nadarevic.
And,
Okay, got it.
yeah, everybody has struggled my whole life trying to pronounce the last name. Even when I was in school, same thing, right? It's like they either add or take away letters, and it ends up being something else, So
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm a logistics professional, logistics provider, specifically a freight broker, and been doing this now since 2015 as a freight broker, but I've been in logistics since 2011. So I've been doing this a little while. And I started originally with my dad. We opened up a trucking business. And, it was a small family run operation. We had 5 trucks. Well, we grew to 5 trucks and stayed, very simple. Did expedite routes, Windsor, Ontario. I am from Windsor. So we did expedite routes down to like Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Midwest primarily.
Mhm.
And back into Canada and stuff, and obviously on the other side of Lake Erie there with Buffalo and stuff. So
Yeah. No, that's great. So I did wear the jersey today because I saw you're a huge Flames fan.
yeah,
And,
well, Buffalo's my second favorite team if we're gonna go down that route.
Oh,
So
there you
I
go.
follow the Sabres. I'm a big fan. I was a fan even back in the days when Hasek was around, and around when they made it to the cup final run against Dallas there in '99.
Yep.
So I was rooting for them, cheering for them, and
Good.
it's been like that always. But yeah, I'm a huge Flames fan.
Yeah.
Die hard. I actually lived in Calgary for 12 years of my life.
Oh, did you? That's what I wanted to ask you. How did that become about? Because
Yeah, well, so I immigrated from Bosnia during the Civil War in Bosnia back in the 90s. So I came into to Canada as a kid. I was 6.5 years old, and the church that sponsored us was out of Alberta. So we left Europe. It was plus 25, November 8th, I remember. We left Croatia. It was plus 25 that day. And we landed in Calgary, and it was minus 40 something. So
wow.
with wind chills and of course a lot of snow. So
Yeah.
I just grew to love the city, and I grew to love the Flames, and I never looked back. So
Yeah, that's
even
great.
I was there when Iginla was traded from Dallas over to Calgary.
Okay.
And so I saw him develop as a superstar throughout his career.
Yeah.
And then the '04 Cup run, that was wild. Like I was in grade 9 at that time.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely wild. I mean, it was tremendous being a part of that and it was hard. Like it was hard to watch them lose at the end.
Oh yeah.
But the experience and like those memories, like the Red Mile back then, just visiting with friends, like just the amount of enthusiasm around one hockey team that kind of just put the whole province together. Like everybody other than Edmonton was rooting for them. So.
Yeah. Well, we know how that is in Buffalo. I mean, we went to 4 Super Bowls and couldn't get the job done. So it's that was back in my day when I was my early 20s. That was the run. So it was tough. It's a tough thing. It was exciting and all that, but man, it's just, we always say, man, if we could have just won one of those 4,
What about like I know there's no MLB team, but like why is that? Like why did that never come to fruition?
Yeah, I think it's because of the size of the city, really. We have so we have a AAA baseball team, and they're the farm team now for the Blue Jays.
Oh, okay.
So, but we, in the past, we've been the farm team for the Indians. We've been the farm team for I think we were the Mets too a while back. But yeah, there was a big push a while back when the MLB was trying to expand, back when they were adding a couple teams. I think back when the Rays, maybe when they added Tampa Bay.
When Tampa Bay was
So there was kind of a push for Buffalo to get a team or whatever. But like I said, it's kind of, I just don't know if we would have that, that support for baseball around here. Like we support to a point, we support the AAA team and the minor league, but I mean, they don't draw that many people, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
But of course, if we had a major league team, I'm sure things would change. And, I don't know. I was torn on the idea because I would never want to see them come here and get a major league team and then fail. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
So, while I'm a huge sports fan, I'm a huge baseball fan myself, and I would have loved it. I would have been in my glory, really. But like I said, I think it would have been a little tough to support, so.
Yeah.
Plus we have the Bills, which are huge, and the Sabres are huge when they're winning. So,
well, up and coming, I think this upcoming season is going to be different for them. They showed a lot of promise at the end there, so we'll see if they can keep it going.
I think they got a nice little core of players now that they can definitely build on, and some of the guys they've had for a while too, at Loungin and some of those, and some of those other guys. I mean, I think it was tough to see your star player go and not be successful here too, because I was rewatch because I knew you were a Flames fan, so I was like rewatching the game from last night.
Oh,
and it's amazing. I have it on my TV right now. It's on, but it's so exciting. Like when the Sabres aren't in it, I kind of lose interest, and I'm like, well, I'm just paying attention, kind of. I'm not really, dedicated watching or whatever. But this is a great series. You know what I mean?
I was telling my dad last night when the Flames scored the 8th goal to make it 8-6. I was like, all right, this has to be enough. Like, this has to be enough. Like, I can't take this. If I have to do this for like 7 games, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do myself. I'm gonna be on life support by the end of this year.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. There's nothing like that though. There's nothing like, I remember when the Sabres, were in the playoffs. There's just nothing like the atmosphere. You know what I mean? Especially if you get a chance to go there. Like the last time they were in the playoffs, I went to, I think, 2 of the games, and
I think it brings a lot of that child happiness, that youth happiness out of all of us. Like, we're just so much more like positive and a lot of more energy, like, and it translates. Like this morning I was on top of things for business. Like I was on top of things, like making sure things are arriving on time, on time, everything, like making sure everything's going smoothly. Even my quoting was smooth. Everything was like that much better because like it's that momentum. It's that energy that it adds. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it puts you in a happier mood, and people don't understand, people, I don't know. I think some people that aren't sports fans really don't understand that. I mean, Buffalo is such a tight knit, small community, and we, obviously support the Bills and the Sabres like crazy. And man, it's insane, especially this year with the Bills having success, and I mean, they're just on the way up, so it's super exciting. And
you know what I like about you specifically, like not just sports, how you love sports and you support the local teams, but like you support everything local, like your food, like you're always posting like amazing pictures of this like local food, just like I mean, they're not franchises, they're just like local places that have good quality food that you can grab for a nice Friday dinner during the week or whatever, so
that's a big part of me. I live in a small village that's just north of the city. It's called Kenmore. It was the first suburb of Buffalo, oldest suburb of Buffalo. But so it's been a community that I've been here for 20 years. It's been a community that's been under revitalization over the past 5-6 years. We've really gotten some great, I live like 10 houses from the main drag of the village, so I'm right there. I'm right in the thick of things, and we've got some nice coffee shops now. We got some, nice restaurants. We got some, nice art stores, things like that. So things are really like coming up and getting back. But yeah, I've always been a huge proponent of being involved in the community and giving back. I'm president of the our local Kenmore Business Association.
Okay.
And so we're always working with local businesses and trying to help them and advertise them any way we can. We have some events and things like that we do, but yeah, man, I'm all about local stuff and
Yeah.
local food and local buying it local from the guy around the corner instead of the big box store or whatever. So
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not too familiar with Buffalo. Like I haven't spent any like longer time periods in Buffalo. I've transited multiple times. I have so many cousins in like Syracuse and Utica. So
yeah,
like I'm when the border was like open before the pandemic and stuff, I was like always
yeah,
transiting through Buffalo. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
like the area. Like I'm not, I definitely like what it has to offer. So I
yeah.
think if people spent more time there, they definitely come to appreciate and love it as well. So
Yeah, absolutely. It's a nice mid-size, city that's right on the water, and it's been under revitalization for the past 10 years now, and there's a lot of cool stuff going on. Whereas for years, like back in the 90s, we were just turmoil. It was like everyone was trying to do something, but trying to
yeah,
do something with the waterfront, and then people would shoot it down or whatever. But now it's made a big turnaround, and yeah, it's a super nice place. And same thing with Windsor. I've been through Windsor a bunch of times, but I've never really stopped there or anything like that.
yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, it's got again, same thing, right? We have like 400 pizza places here, and
yeah,
each one has their own little magnificent piece of the pie that they could present to you. So
right, right,
if you love pizza, Windsor is a place. They say Windsor is like one of the best pizzas in Canada. There's a place here called Arcata,
yeah,
Arcata.
okay,
Believe it or not, there was a guy that and his wife, they moved down to Texas from Windsor. He ordered a pizza from Arcata and paid $1,600 delivery to have it shipped to him, delivered to him to his house.
that is
So
crazy.
how fresh it was or how hot, I don't know, but this guy ordered a fresh, ready to go delivery, $1,600. This was just a few years back. So,
Oh, that is
so there's
crazy.
some dedicated pizza lovers down here. So
Yeah, yeah, well, pizza's a huge thing in Buffalo and wings, obviously, but yeah, there's a couple places that do it here, like a couple of the famous, quote, famous, like, places in Buffalo, Anchor Bar and Duff's. I think they do like overnight shipping for like if you want to send somebody pizza and
yeah,
wings. Yeah,
yeah, this
I've
guy
done it.
FedExed it. This guy
Yeah,
FedExed it himself.
yeah, that I've done it for a customer or two.
Yeah.
That
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, it actually worked out pretty well. I was nervous because it was a lot of money, and it
Yeah.
was like you're shipping food, you don't know how it's gonna arrive or whatever.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's crazy how people just love the local wings and the everything about Buffalo food is pretty famous. So that's so you guys have some casinos up by you too, right?
Yeah, we got the Caesars Casino here in Windsor. It's again all the major comedians and rock stars and musicians. They all make their way through the Coliseum here. That's the Caesars Windsor Coliseum.
Yeah,
There's a casino portion and the Caesars Hotel, two separate towers.
yeah,
Um, you know, very famous and well-off people come through this area all the time,
yeah,
whether for business or whatever else. So
yeah,
it's a growing city as well. I mean, we got a brand new hospital. It's supposed to be one of the biggest ones in Canada that's
yeah,
ready to be built here. There's also the new Windsor Detroit Bridge that's supposed to go up the Gordie Howe. So the Gordie Howe Bridge should be being. I mean, it's being built right now. They're going through all the different procedures for that. The old bridge, the Ambassador Bridge, is being revitalized as well. They're doing some construction and rework on it as well, and they
mhm,
have to if they want to, because it's privately owned. So they're
right,
gonna they're gonna have to if they're gonna compete with the Gordie Howe.
Yeah.
And of course, Amazon is making its way down here now too. They just bought a big piece of land. It was an old Chrysler storage facility for their finished assembled cars. And of course, Chrysler is here with their assembly plant, and Ford, it has a few engine plants here, and so there's a lot going on, and it's expanding. And of course, because of the river, it can only expand southeast and northeast and eastward, right? So that portion of the city just keeps expanding. New suburbs are popping up all over the place, and so I'm excited. I love this place, man. I love the climate here. I love the fact that I don't have to spend 3 months of my year in complete cold, just -40, -30. I love that part. So
Yeah.
when I have to weigh like Calgary and Windsor for the climate for sure, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the proximity, right? Buffalo, Detroit, Chicago, Cleveland, everything's nearby. Pittsburgh, everything's like at your fingertips, essentially.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I've driven through there because I go, if I drive to Detroit, then I go through Canada. So
yes, yeah.
so yeah, I've driven through there. I've seen the casinos and things like that, but I've never stopped there. But I always, every time I drive by, I'm like, hey, it looks nice. I should stop sometime.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, well, you're always welcome. So when I'm not, you have a friend in me in Windsor. So if you're ever in the city, man, I'm more than welcome to show you around everything here that it has to offer. So
yeah, absolutely. Same here. If you're ever in Buffalo, because this is there's a lot to do here, especially summertime. There's all kinds of events and festivals and all kinds of stuff going on. So it's a great place. But yeah, it's like I said, it's it's nice to get on with you. And I really wanted to have, point of this podcast really is to bring people on that I think are, kind of inspiring to me all the time. And, I love your whole attitude and your LinkedIn presence and the whole positivity. I'm sure you've seen some of my posts, and I'm trying to, help people as much as I can and just share my experiences in my part of the business that I've been in for 25 years, so.
Yeah, and I've really been following all the stuff you have been talking about. I mean, even going back to, for in terms of the fitness side of things that you're working out, and obviously the food, but on the business side of things, I really like the fact that you push integrity and honesty in what you're doing, and especially when it comes to the sales part of any transaction. Right. And so I really appreciate that, because that's something we need as a whole, as a civilization, because if I've always been the type of person, like, look you and I, shake your hand, it's my word, like I'm not going to go back on that. Right. Like no matter what it is, if we're talking freight rates, if we're talking like whatever it could be in business, like if you're like payment wise, like whatever, like I am the type of person that says you're gonna have your money tomorrow, today, 2 days from now, whatever.
Right.
I will do that because that's the type of person I am. So
yeah, and it's part of it. Even if you're, when I first started in business, that was the hardest thing, paying people on time. Because but you got to be upfront and honest with people. It's like, maybe I'm not going to pay you in 30 days, but I'll pay you in 40 days, or I'll pay you in 50 days. And
as long as you have a plan,
right.
And you're open and having an actual discourse with people, explaining to them what is happening, if you're delayed or whatever the case may be, as long as you're explaining and you don't go missing in action, as I've seen lately, a lot of stuff happening in that light. I think that everything is going to be a-okay. So
yeah, and that's a big part of it. I always feel bad, or if I drop the ball on something, or it happens. But I think, like, my business has been growing exponentially, so we're trying to manage that growth. And at times I'm just overwhelmed, and I'm hiring people and I'm adding sales reps at the same time, but I got to make sure I have that support for them too,
Well, we're doing the same thing with I have my partner and I in the freight brokering business. We're doing the same thing, right? We're currently doing a hiring of freight brokers, but we actually delayed it for the first 2 years of our business to make sure that we have the back end support that they need for the payments and billing,
Right.
invoicing portion of it. Then obviously the carrier vetting portion, on carrier onboarding. You got to have those things in place, and you got to make sure you can do that in a timely manner. Otherwise, like, it's so easy to fall behind. So
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah. And that's what I was waiting for too. I didn't know when I worked primarily by myself for approximately 13, 14 years before I started expanding at all. And I wanted to make sure, I was in the right position financially, the right position to have things set in place where, if I bring on some reps and they start doing a lot of business and we start carrying a lot of it's like we need to pay people on time,
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do that before I was ready. And, in my part of the business, that's how you build your reputation. You pay people on time, you treat them correctly or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're upfront and honest. And like I said, recently I feel like I was maybe dropping the ball a little bit on things, and I never want that to happen, but it's just how things happen sometimes. And I'm trying to like always work on correcting that. And like you said, have that high integrity and have that, hey, I'm getting online and I don't have anything to hide because I'm doing everything the right way. You know what I mean? So.
Well, yeah, and part of it is that feeling of almost like repentance, like, you're like, okay, so I apologize. I know that I should be better. So next time I will be better.
Yeah.
And that whole 1% rule, get better 1% every single day.
Yeah.
That sort of, that's what I try to work on.
Right.
And it could be anything. It could be on the business side of things, being a better freight broker, a better logistics professional, maybe well-versed or better versed in some mode of transportation, or maybe experience in moving a certain type of machinery or something that I had no experience in before. As
Right.
long as you're always have that open mind for education, for a new experience, the sky's the limit, like regardless of the type of business, whether
Right.
it's the plastics industry or some tertiary industry, whatever it may be.
Yeah. Yeah.
The sky is the limit.
Yeah. And I think you're exactly right about the learning part. That's what I've learned as I've gotten older is that, when I was younger, I did a lot of schooling. I went to college, I got my MBA. I was done. By the time I got, I was just not into learning anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now as I've gotten older, now that everything's changing, right? Technology's changing, you're using an iPhone, I didn't grow up with any of this, so it's like, I'm teaching myself, trying to stay on top of the latest and greatest trends to, just be educated and learn as much as I can about everything,
Listen, I'll tell you this much. You're like light years ahead of me on NFTs, for example.
Yeah.
I don't even like from like further than like just the definition and like slight. And the fact that like these mega companies like Walmart's buying stuff in this NFT world, or I don't know. I mean, it's just over my head.
It is. Well, I know. Believe me, I feel like it's way over my head too. I feel like I've just like cracked the barrier as far as, I've made some investments. I bought a few things that I thought were, maybe valuable, but I'll tell you now.
It's good. You're like making a portfolio for yourself, and you're expanding your own personal and business portfolio. So
yeah. And it's like anything, it's like you live and learn. I bought a few things and lost pretty much all the money I invested. You know what I mean? So, and that's the thing with NFTs. It's like kind of like the Wild West. I mean, there's just there seems like there's millions of them now.
It seems like there's opportunities everywhere.
And you look at,
I haven't gotten into it yet, but
yeah. I mean, it's definitely going to have a utility in the future. Just where is that going to be?
But honestly, I feel like I'll have to, because like, there's people around me, friends that are doing it. Like even the whole down the Bitcoin route. I have a friend during the pandemic, actually the latter stages of the pandemic. So just recently, as recent as like last fall, I mean, he's got like 15 computers going.
Oh yeah, mining.
Bitcoin mining
Mining.
and
Yeah.
stuff. And
Yeah.
you go down to the basement and it's like a furnace. It's like super hot. And I'm like, what is this? He's like, yeah, this one cost me 2,500. This one cost me. And he's just going down the
Yeah.
road. I'm like, so like, are you making money from this? He's like, yeah, I'm actually turning a profit, but that profit is supposed to be exponential later down the road. He's like, but
Yeah.
right now, he's
Yeah.
like, I'm in the early stages. And
Right.
I'm like, what about electricity costs and stuff? He's like, well, it's about 10% electricity cost of what I make per
Yeah.
month.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, that's not too bad, I guess.
Yeah. 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 That's like I said, there's so many facets of new technology, and I'm into the, I have some investments in Bitcoin and Ethereum and a couple other,
Yeah, yeah,
stuff like that. But like I said, I'm still on that beginning end too, where I'm trying to learn, and then I get into it, and then I got a little scared because I had bought a couple NFTs that went to zero. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So you just don't know. And I think now there's so many projects as far as NFTs go. When they launch, it's like then they go up and then they come right back down because they get pumped up because everybody gets excited or whatever. They're pumping the market up and then they come right back down. And it's, my advice now, if you're looking at NFTs, is you got to find the utility behind the NFT. Like, what is
yeah.
it going to be used for? Is it going to have a long-term use in the future? It's not just some picture of like a dragon or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
no, I heard companies are buying like fake real estate in like
yeah,
meta worlds and stuff or something. I was trying to
yeah,
explain to my dad, I'm like, apparently people are like renting fake rooms in a fake hotel room in this like fake world. And my
yeah.
dad, he's old school foreign, right? So he's just like, what are you talking about? Like, what is
Exactly. Yeah. I know. It's mind-boggling and crazy to think about. Like that's what people are doing. But I mean, have you ever used one of those VR, like the VR goggles?
I have,
Yeah.
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 My brother brought one home the other night, and I tried to do this like real world, like this roller coaster thing.
Yeah.
I felt sick to my stomach. Like it
Yeah.
was like
Yeah.
it was the first time, right? It was my first time putting on
Yeah.
the goggles.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, this is ridiculous. I mean, how far it's gotten compared to when I was like a kid. Like,
Oh,
so,
I
like,
know.
I'm
Yeah.
33 now, so like
Yeah. Yeah.
20
Yeah.
years ago, this stuff obviously
Right.
wasn't readily available for us, like
Right.
everyday citizens. So
Exactly. Yeah.
absolutely amazing.
Yeah. It's crazy. We bought one for Christmas this past Christmas. And so my son told me, "Oh, you can play golf on there." So I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." So we downloaded this golf game or whatever, and yeah, it's unbelievable. It's like you're playing golf. I mean, you stand there and you swing the club like you're,
Club, yeah.
like, and it's very realistic. I mean, it is like, and you
No,
got to
and it's
watch.
only gonna get better. It's only
Yeah.
gonna get better. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, stuff like that too. You really got to have a kind of a wide open space where you're doing it because, you have these goggles on, you're standing up and walking around your house basically. You
Yeah, yeah.
run into something or trip over something or whatever. But
Yeah, you gotta have a little safe space to do it. So
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's where you need to do that. But yeah, I don't know where it's gonna go. It's just a crazy I've done that roller coaster thing too. And yeah, it's just unbelievable how far things have come. And I'm way older than you. And I remember the first video game ever that was Pong, where
oh, yeah.
you had a dial and you move the thing back and forth and try and stop the ball from going your way.
Yeah, I remember getting my first computer was like $4,000 back when it was like the
Yeah.
old school. There was like baby blue computer, Windows 98 on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just the
Yeah.
floppy disks and all that stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah. So it's crazy how far, things have come. But like I said, I wanted to have you on, and, maybe you can explain, because even though I deal, we ship things all the time, but I'd like to know, I'd like to explain the process. Like, you're a freight broker. How do you book loads? How do you vet truckers? How do you do all that? What's the whole process?
yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of tools now readily available in the digital space to make the job a little bit easier on us as freight brokers. But I'll start off with this. The best thing you can do is if you want to get into the business is, well, first, of course, networking with people on LinkedIn that have done it. So in addition, I would really recommend people to try to understand and get to know truckers and what they deal with, and get to know trucking companies and what they deal with. When you know those processes and you've had exposure in sales elsewhere, trying to close deals and all that stuff, it makes the freight brokering job that much better and that much easier. When it comes to the actual job itself, going after customers, for example, there's multiple ways to do it. Again, there's the old school way of cold calls, and then of course just showing up to shops, talking shop. And then there's the new school way of SEO marketing, Google ads, Facebook, LinkedIn, things of that nature. Of course, a website, you should always have a website. It's a good way to draw traffic towards what your services are. In addition to that, there is LinkedIn as a tool for business. There's Alignable, for example. You can get to know people that are in certain positions like logistics managers, shipping managers, traffic managers, people that can lead you or guide you towards getting set up with that specific company in order to move their freight, essentially. As a beginner, like brand new to the logistics, as a freight broker, it's difficult in the sense to get people to trust you because you're brand new, right? You don't have a track record. So obviously recommendations of any sort that you can get from people that you've moved shipments for will get you along the way that much quicker. So word of mouth is big for me. In addition to that, when I'm moving shipments, whether it's boxed goods or open deck shipments where you can see what you're moving, or container shipping or whatever, from the ports and whatnot. I really like to advertise that on LinkedIn and share my experience either with that specific load or just drop a line. Sometimes you don't have to do a full out essay about what just happened with the picture that you're sharing, but you can say something along the lines like, man, I love container shipping.
Yeah,
that's it. Add a 3 to 5 hashtags pertaining container shipping, logistics, freight brokering, and also connect with people. Connect.
yeah.
Learn from them. Pick their brains. Ask them questions. And it doesn't always have to be just in reference to adding every single shipper that you see on LinkedIn. It could also be you connecting with the shipper, talking shop a few times, sharing content, and it's weird, but somehow that leads to relationships, and those relationships are everything. Building relationships with people in that way is everything. Share what you do, show people, because if you're silent, nobody will know what you're doing, right? If I can give people advice, it would be to be readily available. Whether that's via cell phone, via email, whatever. If you're looking to start in the business and grow it and put some sweat equity into your business, you're going to have to be readily available. And it's not just a 9 to 5 job. You're going to get phone calls on the weekend saying, hey, a carrier that I originally scheduled or the incumbent, they didn't show up. Can you help me expedite this? Or can you help me find somebody? Even though it's a Saturday, you're going to have to sometimes do that. It doesn't always happen, but in the beginning, in the early stages, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Struggles people will see. The struggles are very much so with the trust factor. So one, it's going to be from the financial trust factor. So a carrier comes to you, their first question is this guy going to pay me? Is this business legitimate? Who is Nurf? Who is this guy?
Yeah.
So they're gonna search up, they're gonna see if you're approved by factoring companies. They're gonna see if you have a DNB number, a Dun& Bradstreet number. They can see something in relation to your company. They might check, Google reviews or whatever, trying to find any kind of potential dirt about who you are, what your business is, how you operate, right? So how do you mitigate that? Again, also from the payment status, there's going to be carriers that call, they'll take your load, they'll hold your freight hostage until you pay before delivery. The reason they do this is because you're brand new to them. They're not very upfront in the beginning. You onboard them. You go through the whole process. They check everything off. They have insurance. They have an authority. They have everything you need. Everything is valid. Everything checks off. You call their insurance. Everything's good. But their business processes will delay your shipments because you're new. And my biggest way to get around that, because this is from like experience, like this is not me talking, just air. The way you get around that as a new freight broker is there's a few ways. One, I would advise, if possible, to resolve the issues without getting your customers involved, because you gave your customer the word. You said, I will do this shipment. I will move it from point A to point B for X amount of dollars.
Right.
So you, in essence, are responsible for it to go smoothly. You're the middleman. You're the one that is the middle contact between the carrier and the shipper. So you should hold your word, if at all possible. If you have the funds in your business account, I would advise, if possible, to have it properly go. Say, I will pay you collect on delivery.
Yeah.
There will, or in some shape or form, whether that's a e-transfer confirmation, wire transfer, whatever, ACH or whatever kind of payment method that you would like to use. I would advise doing that to save face in front of the customer. Another route you can take is just to be honest with the customer in terms of the issue at hand. I have also went down that route. I had this one issue where guys picked up in New York. There were damaged containers that came off of a ONE ship. They were damaged in transit. They had to offload them in New York at one of the ports and deliver it to Florida instead of going to Jacksonville and delivering. And then my customer asked me, pick up, deliver to Florida. Once empty, take the empty container, dray it back to Jacksonville, not to New York, but to Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. These two guys, they're friends, but they each have their own separate owner operator authorities, whatever. They pick up, they were on time, nothing. I had no red flags as to what these guys were about to do. I sent them the load confirmations. The load confirmation stated net 30 payment terms, net 30, all that standard payment terms.
Right.
These guys show up in Florida. They were supposed to deliver in Orlando. They show up in Orlando and they park at a truck stop and says, you guys are going to have to pay us up front, or we won't be able to proceed further. Right. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I mean, you guys had however many miles from New York to Florida to tell me that something happened or something has occurred, that you need payment up front, instead of waiting last minute to tell me this. Long story short, we paid them from our own business account. We paid both of them separately. Then we also paid escorts because they didn't have the proper port authority stuff for Jacksonville to get the empty container to the port. We also paid that upfront to escorts that could take, so that the companies around the port that could take those containers into the port without any problems.
Right.
And then after the fact, we told our customer, this is what we dealt with. I know our payment terms are net 30. If you guys can help us out, great. If not, we will wait 30 days for our money. Right. It was a new customer too. The customer FedExed the check overnight to us for the full amount for both containers that we had moved.
Yeah.
So there are ways to mitigate problems. There are ways to resolve them without swearing, yelling, threatening, anything. I think that's horrible for business.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're the one yelling at your customers, that's horrible for business. If you're the one demanding something from your customers, that's horrible business too. You should definitely have an open, civil conversation to resolve any issues.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
sorry, that was very long-winded, but that's essentially how it all comes down. Again, you can do SEO, which is just the marketing, the digital marketing side,
Yeah.
getting a few keywords on you, to send traffic to your website. You will be successful, but I'm telling you right now, it will take some time for that to propagate.
Yeah. And that's like anything that I learned over the years too. It's like, it takes a lot of time to be successful. I mean, it's just years and years of just, eating shit. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
It is. It's just, and it's the same in our business. And like I said, I've got like my son's working for me now. He's been working for like probably about a year and a half now. And then I've got, 3 or 4 other pretty young guys working for me. And, I keep telling them, you just got to keep making calls. You got to keep making contacts. You got to keep building those, long-term relationships and try and find the right people to talk to. And if somebody's a waste of time, then just don't talk to them anymore and just
you will know people are very you will know who is willing to listen to what you have to offer. It's going to take persistence. You're going to have to do it a few times.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it takes, as a freight broker, it takes 6 or 7 times before you get someone to give you an opportunity, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah, exactly. We see that all the time. We see it where we'll make contact with a injection molder or somebody we're trying to sell to, and we'll try a few times and then basically give up. But then maybe like 3-4 weeks later, they end up reaching out and hey, do you have something available? I got your information. I just didn't respond, whatever. And you just never know when that next opportunity is going to come up, because if you just keep plugging along, you're gonna build some momentum. You know what I mean? And
you're right. And I also advise people who would like to get into freight brokering or who are in freight brokering, when you're talking to customers, to make sure you're always asking them how you could potentially serve them, but by making both of you successful. So I'm not talking, carrying bags of cash all over the place and being successful that way. I mean, a well-oiled machine, you're picking up on time, you're delivering on time, and you're giving them a fair market value that works for everybody. So, and it works for the trucking company that's hauling it.
Right.
Those 4 things, if you can keep that in mind. So I come to you and say, Larry, what are your pain points? What are you mostly struggling with? Or are there lanes that you're mostly struggling with? Is there something that I could do to alleviate those pains? As somebody that has access to excess capacity or additional capacity, or maybe I know, you never know. Like, it's always good to keep doors open. You never know. Maybe I have a carrier that's delivering to the city where you need that pickup from, that needs to get to your city where you want this to deliver to.
Right.
You never simply know. So that's why, like, to your point, relationships are key. You simply never know. And collaborative logistics is the future. Communicating with people all over the planet to make sure that things are going smoothly, and asking people within your region if you can be of assistance, or they ask you if they can be of assistance. How can they help you grow? How can you help them grow? That's the future. That's how business is going to be done.
Yeah, that's a really good point you made, as far as, like you said, somebody might tell you, oh, I'm really good at this lane or whatever. And then you tell them, well, we don't, you're thinking in the back of your head, well, we never do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, but you never know, you might get a new customer that says, hey, I need to do that. I need to ship this from point A to point B. And that's that. You go back to that guy and think, oh yeah, that guy that I thought I was never going to use, that's a guy that I'm going to go back to now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I have communications with carriers too. The relationship side on the carriers, always communicating with carriers, new carriers, potential carriers, incumbents, older carriers that have, that I used in previous ambitions or whatever, right?
Right.
So it's
Right.
it's always good. My late mother once told me that it's always good to make sure that you have a house in every village. Now
Right.
that doesn't mean go out and buy houses in every single village in every town. It means make sure that you have friends in every village, and to make sure you treat them as if you are welcome there, as if it's your own house. So always be kind to people, generous, willing to help, willing to assist. If someone comes to me and asks me a question, there's no point to leave that person hanging.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
point. They've came to you, they've asked you something. The least you can do is say, I don't know, but I will find out for you. Or, hey, I don't know, but this person will know. Or, hey,
Right.
I do know, this is how you go about it.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, you touched on it a little bit, but let me understand a little bit. Do freight brokers work with other freight brokers, like in conjunction, or is it like, something that you guys just never talk to each other because you're in a completely, the same business?
So here's the thing. It is frowned upon if, for example, I, as a freight broker, take a load from a shipper and give it to some other freight broker or carrier,
Right.
and my shipper or my customer does not know this, is
Okay.
not aware of this. That
Yeah.
is double brokering, and it's frowned upon and illegal,
Okay.
to
Okay.
put it short and sweet. But if I, as a freight broker, have an actual contracted document with another freight broker that says that we can co-broker shipments together
Hmm.
between each other's freight brokerages,
Okay.
and my customer is aware of that, my own shipper is aware that I'm doing this, that in itself, because of the loopholes in the system, that is allowed. That kind of co-brokering is allowed.
Okay.
But under no circumstances can I take a load and give it to, for example, another freight broker who gives it to a carrier. I have no idea who that carrier is.
Right.
That's
Right.
absolutely not allowed.
Okay.
Likewise, I give my load as a freight broker to carrier A. Carrier A gives it to carrier B, and then carrier B never gets paid from carrier A for the services. I pay carrier A.
Right.
Carrier B legally can then come after me and say, where is my money?
Yeah.
Or goes to the shipper, my customer, for example, and says, where's my money? Which makes it even worse.
Right.
So
Right.
the
And
whole point is be honest, be open. Who's hauling the load? What's coming in to pick up? What does it say on that truck number, trailer number, the driver name, company name, all that stuff. You will never have a problem.
Yeah.
You will never
Yeah.
have a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the reason I asked, because I felt like I've never been in the, I've never had a job, or even as a company I worked for, I never really had anything to do with the trucking, but obviously I'm involved in the trucking, that we ship things, but I've heard that same thing you were talking about. It's like, I gave the load to somebody else, and I gave it to this guy, and I gave it to another carrier. It's like there was like multiples down the line,
Yeah, there's sometimes it gets ridiculous, and it's all like hidden and nobody knows what's going on. And then the worst is the carriers are the ones that get screwed.
Yeah. Yeah.
The carriers are the ones that get really messed up, because then they're waiting on a cycle of 60, 90 days to get paid, and nobody knows who's paying who. Like,
Right.
it gets out of hand because the original guy that took it, that originally double brokered it,
Yeah.
he's nowhere to be found. There's something called the Glendale double brokers from Glendale, California, and it's a big problem. Today, I had one of them call me.
Really?
Yeah, I'm wondering, can I haul this load for you? I have a carrier available. And it was from an actual load board. Like, these people are registered on load board. So you have to do like due diligence to make sure that the people that are asking to move your freight, like carriers, if you don't have a relationship with them and you don't know who they are, that you make sure you do your due diligence, because they can come back and bite you in the ass. They can come back and it could really cause problems. I haven't went down that route where like I booked someone without due diligence on that scale, where I've given it and somebody double brokered it. I haven't done that, but I've heard of awful stories, especially for freight brokers that double broker. They're called double brokers out of registered Glendale, California. addresses, but they're not even really in Glendale. They're outsourced businesses elsewhere that are just scams, like just complete scams. So you have to, like, as a shipper, due diligence, as a freight broker, due diligence, make sure that if you are ever posting a load on like a spot market, that you make sure you know who's hauling your freight. And always confirm with your shipper too. Tell them, hey, I sent ABC Trucking to pick up. Did they show up? Oh, well, no, actually, this is going to be DEF actually trucking.
Yeah.
Well, then there's a problem because you never authorized DEF to go in. You authorized ABC.
Right.
So that's and there's ways to mitigate. There is no excuse. There's lots of training out there. There's lots of videos out there, what to look for and how to spot these troublesome fake companies and scammers out there.
Yeah. And I feel like it's, it's kind of a parallel business because it seems like there's a lot of fly-by-nighters, a lot of people just get in it to try and get rich, today kind of thing. And
it's not get rich quick. There's a lot of, like I mentioned earlier, sweat equity. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and the occasional tears that pop from the emotions involved in it. I've had those scenarios. My first shipment ever, I took a UPS shipment. I was working at Landstar at the time. I took a UPS shipment, expedite team that needed to go from Georgia. From what's it called? From it's escaping my name, Laverne, Tennessee, over to Las Vegas, Nevada. I booked a truck and I asked them how far out they were. They're like, boss, we're 36 miles out. I was like, perfect. You'll be able to make it in 2 hours to pick up. That's perfect. It's anyways going to be ready in 2 hours. So we're good to go. I sent them the load confirmation. They sent me at that time, that was back in 2012. They sent me a link and it was around peak season. Like it was like late November, early December. And they sent me a link with satellite tracking. So I click on it. Just before pickup, it was like 30 minutes before pickup. I click on it, and this guy's like still like 500 and some miles out from like pickup.
God, yeah.
And the worst part is, at that time, I was younger back then. It was decade ago, and the customer said, "Yeah, can I speak to your boss?" And I was worried. I was young. Like I was worried I was about to get fired.
Yeah.
So I got my experience that way real fast, like how to read people, how to look for keywords when speaking with people over the phone or emails, just to try to mitigate risk as much as possible.
Yeah.
And we're human beings, and we have to be able to learn from our mistakes,
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, you never know where your experience is going to take you. And, before I was in the plastics business, I worked for a cement company, and I started there when I was 20 years old, I think maybe. And I worked there for 3 or 4 years, and I worked in the plant. I worked in the office in the plant, but I had a lot of it grew me up like that. Like I saw exactly what a union atmosphere was like.
Yeah.
I saw what truck drivers were, what they go through all the time, because we were loading trucks every day. And, these guys were, it grew me up instantly, because it was like, well, now I'm in the real world, now I'm talking to people driving trucks and driving tow motors and, stuff like that. It really kind of woke me up to say, yeah, this is what happens in the real world. And this is what people really go through. And these truck drivers make a living driving trucks,
Yeah.
And it's not an easy life, so.
No, by no means. And I have the full out respect. Obviously my dad was a trucker for quite some time. I just retired him 2 years ago. So he's been, and that was, I forced him. I just simply said, that's it. You've done your job. It's time for me to take care. So, but, he's told me some just fascinating stories of inefficiencies and, disrespects and, whatever else, like, oh, I can't use the bathroom, can't, bring your own pen, sort of like just small things that just
Stupid
add
things.
up.
Yeah.
I mean, things that just delay people,
Yeah.
don't have a pen. Now you got to bobtail or walk over to a Dollar General or somewhere to go find a pen so you can sign off. Like,
Yeah.
things of
That's
that nature.
unbelievable. Yeah. Yeah. Stuff like that is just crazy. But like I said, it's, as far as, I guess the process. So when you get someone that, say I want to get a quote from you or whatever. So I'm assuming you work as a freight broker and you put it out to a bunch of different carriers that and then basically see what the best rate you can get back at, and you guys make a little money off of that. I mean, I'm assuming that's how it works, right?
Yeah. So there's three main ways that we do it, in our office, in our offices, excuse me. One is obviously relationship based with carriers that we know,
Hmm.
either carriers that are sometimes in that area or actually from that area where you have freight picking up.
Right.
So that's one way. Relationship, I find, is the best way to mitigate, like we just talked about, all those problems, because
Yep.
you're going to know what to expect.
Yeah.
If I send an ABC trucking all the time, I know ABC is going to be good, so I'm comfortable giving you
Right.
their rate, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one way is we go to them, we ask them, hey, we got a customer, he's got from A to B, from Buffalo to, wherever, Charlotte, for example, North
Right.
Carolina.
Right.
What can you run this lane for? They're going to give you a price. Our tack on is anywhere from 10 to 12%, really. Like, it
Mhm.
depends on the customer. And then you take it to the customer, tell them, hey, this is what I can do, this is the times we can meet. If it's volume based, this is what we can do, this is what we can meet. So relationship is number one. Number two, not in any particular order. Number two can be from your own transportation management system. You've ran that lane before, you've ran similar lanes on similar equipment or identical equipment, for example, drive-in. You have all that data saved. You can look at it, what it's been the last 20 days, the last 15 days, if it's something that's moving soon. You can look at it historically, what you've been moving similar lanes from. I come to you, I tell you, this is what we can do. If it works, great. If it doesn't, I always welcome feedback. Tell me, hey, you're $300 over, or hey, you're $100 over, or did you pull that number out of your ass? Like, tell
Yeah.
me, so then I can tell you what the deal
Right.
is.
Yeah.
And a third way is, again, it comes with risk, but it would be posting to the major load boards that are out there. Again, I don't know if I can drop names, but again, the major load boards that are out there that everybody is used to and well aware of.
Okay.
And play your luck that way on the spot market to see if anybody's available for pickup tomorrow out of Buffalo, going to Charlotte. And then a fourth way is searching for trucks through those load boards. Carriers will post available capacity in Buffalo for May 20th. I go
Okay.
and I have a list. For example, 16 trucking companies are there. I'll call every single one of them, or email if I have their emails or whatever, each of those, and find out what that rate is that I can come up with that either could meet your target. If you come to me as a shipper and you give me a target, that makes my job a bit easier, because then I can go and I can see if I can find someone within your target. For example, you have something where you want your own profit margin to stay at a certain percentage, and in your head, exactly your dollar value that you want to spend.
Yeah.
Maxed out, like max, that's it, no more. I can go, or some freight broker can go and get you or find you a carrier at that price. Unless, of course, you're looking to move 600 miles for $100 for 40,000 pounds. That's not, the math won't work there because of the operating costs involved in running a rig down the road, right?
Right. So the load boards, I mean, that seems like, for somebody that's just coming into business, I would think the load boards would be it would be like attractive to them because all the information's right there, as opposed to doing more work and building those relationships.
Yeah, so every time a carrier calls me from a load board or emails me, I try to right away establish a relationship. Who are you guys? What industries do you serve? What are your lanes? What's going on? How many trucks do you have? I can see certain information from the authority numbers that they provide for me.
Right.
But there's information that they don't provide. For example, I asked them, how do they bill their customers? Like very specific questions, right? And then all that stuff is passed on to carrier vetting and carrier onboarding to make sure everything checks off. And then that's added into our transportation management system. And those carriers are now available to run loads if they deem fit in whatever way. You want to make sure that the trucks that are on the road are safe. So looking at their safety scores, making sure all that is passed. Again, there are tools out there to mitigate risk when it comes to onboarding. Obviously, the major player in the industry is RMIS, the Register Monitoring Service.
Okay.
And you plug in an MC number if you're a paying customer of RMIS. It'll spit back out what that carrier has in terms of authorities, what that carrier is capable of doing in terms of equipment, and what does that insurance look like? Are they registered? Are they an approved, accredited, actual carrier that's allowed to be on the roads in the USA?
Gotcha.
They have a DOT number. They're safe with the FMCSA in terms of their safety scores and all that stuff. So there are ways to definitely mitigate as much risk that's out there. And quite frankly, it is out there, but with experience, you get better. With experience, you get better and better.
Yeah. So I'm on LinkedIn often. I see, I'm connected to a lot of, trucking freight brokers like you guys. And I see some, like, I'm not down with the lingo per se. So I see a lot of postings about 3PL. So I don't know what, can you explain what those are and how those work in the industry?
Yeah. So again, there's 3PLs, 4PLs, 5PLs, 6PL, 7. There's several. Okay. It's a third-party logistics company. It's someone that they usually have a brokerage division. They usually have some form of warehouse capacity, ability to handle LTL shipments, full truckload shipments, ability to service customers that have e-commerce needs, service customers that need warehousing in and out, any kind of short-term, long-term storage. Depending on the size of those 3PLs, you're going to get a variation of what they're capable of doing. Okay. Some of them even are asset-based. So some of them even have their own trucks that can do maybe local deliveries. So for example, a customer from California will give them a shipment to handle all their local final mile deliveries to places in Miami, for example. So they'll ship something to Miami, to that 3PL's warehouse. It'll get repalletized, shrink wrapped, whatever, placed on smaller vehicles and distributed to either different distribution centers, storefronts, residential deliveries, of course, with lift gate needs. Some of them will offer white glove services where they'll unpack something for you, they'll install it for you, they'll remove the debris. So choosing them, you have to just choose wisely, but you have to be open and tell them what is it that you need, what are your needs, and you have to measure and weigh more than one. So go after 5 or 6 of them, 10 of them, 20 of them, and find which one best fits your needs. It's definitely not a one size fits all. And depending on the size in terms of their market cap or if they have a valuation or anything of that nature, it's going to affect the price that you get back per pallet, per SKU, per whatever your requirements are. So you're going to see negative comments, but you will also find positives. There's a fine balance.
Yeah. Okay, good. I really appreciate that explanation because I keep seeing that term and I just didn't take the time to look at it.
There's even 7PL, and those guys have everything. Like some of those guys even have like planes, like their own planes. It gets out of hand. Like it gets really out of hand.
Yeah.
Really, so
yeah, it's crazy. from my perspective, I mean, obviously over the last couple of years, how freight rates have increased, and obviously the price of gas and everything that goes into this. I mean, it is, for my industry, it's literally killing us from making deals.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because I used to be able to, ship something from whatever, Georgia to Michigan. And, now I don't even consider shipping it if it's more than a couple states away, because I used to use back in the day, and you'll laugh, but back in the day, I used to use the old rule of thumb of, a penny a pound per state, so if I'm 2 states over, a truckload's going to be $800 to $900. And that's not the case these days.
And in these last 2 years, it's been $3-4 grand. You would have gotten prices for a state over,
Yeah.
500 miles in the last 2 years. For every 500 miles, it seemed the rates were like 3,500, $4 grand. Like if you're going on the spot market, right?
Yeah.
You got to really do some deep down digging, trying to find carriers that can service and not change your rates. And they're out there. There are carriers out there that once you give them business and you give them some volume, or you're consistent with that, I mean, they will not change the rates on you.
Right.
I mean, as the rate might change like a cent. Like it's not going to be anything of the nature of like, oh, national average was like $1.70 and now it's like $4, for example, like as an extreme example, right?
Right.
So even at times when averages were being placed and average now is 292 with panic mode, and we're all sitting here thinking, well, I mean, we're paying like $4, $5, $6 a mile now because you can't find anything at 290. So wherever this 290 is coming from, I don't know what data source that is from, but that's not the case at all.
Right.
So
yeah, but like you said, it's all about building those relationships, and the more you can bring to the table, and that's what brokers are. I mean, the term broker, I've always said it is kind of a bad news name in our industry, but
everywhere, everywhere, absolutely every industry. Yeah,
right.
I talked to a carrier last week because they asked me like, why am I offering only what was it, $4,000 from Quebec to Texas, USD, in USD funds, and I told him, you didn't read my request. I'm offering for just one pallet that you can consolidate $4,000. Just one pallet. That's it.
Yeah.
You can consolidate it with other freight. So I'm just looking to rent some space of your trailer. Partial. I don't want to go down the LTL route because of how expensive the material is. So I'm just looking to rent some space of your trailer for that trip down to Texas. It'll pay for your fuel. It'll pay for your driver costs. That's why I'm offering. So he said, oh, okay, he got it, all this stuff. And then I asked him, how do you treat your full-time customers that you have contracts with that give you volume? How do you treat that? And he said, well, you know what, for the ones that give us volume and the ones that treat us fair, we don't change our prices. From Toronto to Texas, it's 260 down and it's 260 back up. And it's been like that since the pandemic started. They have not changed a single cent. Again, because of relationships. They went, they sat down, they told their shipper what money they need to not be run out of business. Likewise, the shipper had a meeting with the decision makers that are involved in those decisions and says, these guys are quality. These guys have capacity. These guys are professionals at what they do. We've had no problems in the past. We should be awarding these guys this freight. And so it comes to show you that relationships and telling people why it is that you need a certain rate, or why it is that you're asking to stay at a certain range of a rate that's either in this current market, slightly a little bit inflated compared to the spot market, you can do that, right? So right now we're seeing a shift where contracted rates are going up and spot rates are coming down. Fuel is going crazy up.
Yeah.
lot rates continue to go down. So we'll see where it all goes. I'm fascinated to see how this all plays out on the other end of some stabilization or normalcy that we might see down the road. So
Right, right. And that's the whole thing. You have to stay on top of the market, just like we have to stay on top of the market as price fluctuates. And like I said, I mean, we don't do a lot of the deals that we used to do because we just can't afford it. And we're paying more, we end up paying the trucker more than double sometimes what we're even making on the deal, and
yeah,
it's,
no, I completely understand that, and it's unfortunate because you also have to stay in business and you have payroll that you need to meet and all of that stuff. And it's
yeah,
unfortunate. Like I read not the other day, but a little while back when you were talking about how you went through the whole due diligence and process in the plastics industry of making sure that on the quality assurance side that your product that you're putting in those gaylords are proper and they're
right,
efficient and they're exactly to industry standards. And then you have somebody come to you and want a full refund or want to return the product or whatever the case may be
right,
because they weren't satisfied, but you did your whole due diligence. It's the same thing in freight brokering on our end. We can do all of that quality assurance, A/B testing, everything to make sure our service and our KPIs are met and all that. But you're always going to run into that one situation a month or a week or whatever, depending on your size as a brokerage, that's going to put a little bit of a dent in the what you're offering. So
yeah. I had a terrible situation, which I've been, like I said, I've been doing this for 25 years. I never had this situation happen, and it happened probably in the last month or so, but
and I remember that. I remember the exact quote about that. So
yeah. And it's like we sold material from a guy, from a supplier of ours. We described it exactly like it was, like what it was. And
word for
then,
word,
you
exactly
know,
what it is and what
it's
you're
like
playing.
copy and paste from our supplier what exactly it is. And we sent a sample and they
Yeah.
approved the sample of it.
Well, that was what really got me when you said you sent a sample and they approved and then they didn't approve. Like what?
Yeah. Well, then they got the material in, and then it was the case of, oh, we all of a sudden, we can't run the material. But I'm like, well, you knew exactly what it was. We thought you understood what you were buying
Yeah.
because you number one, we sent you a sample and you said the sample was approved. And when someone says, when we reiterate what exactly the material is, or what specs it is and everything else, now they're just returning it because they didn't know what they were doing, really. So
Well, yeah, I mean, that's you took it even a step further than like painting a picture or taking a picture. You sent them the actual product to see what they're
yeah,
buying, and
yeah.
so that's. I mean, I don't know personally what I could have done differently if I was in your shoes to make it happen, but
Well, and that's, and that's what I told this customer. I said, you want me to return you want me to return the product to the supplier, but why? What
yeah,
am I going to tell them? What am
yeah,
I going to tell them that's wrong with the material? Usually, if we buy things and they're not, we have a couple boxes that are contaminated or whatever, then we go back and say, okay, we found this, blah,
yeah,
blah, blah. But we didn't find anything here.
yeah,
It's exactly as we described. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So that's where I put my foot down. I'm like, we're paying the supplier and
yeah,
we're going to figure it out, because I'm not going to go back to the supplier and say, hey, I take these loads back just because my guy's an idiot. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And so we finally, it's in fact, just this week, we finally got that resolved. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and again, it's that was a specific, but that one really caught my eye, especially when you said you sent a sample. It just
Yeah.
blows my.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, that was the first time I ever encountered that situation where we sold the material exactly how it was. I looked through all the emails and everything. There was no miscommunication. Everybody understood everything. We did everything correctly. And then, but that's integrity. Like you said, I wasn't going to go back to my supplier and say, hey, I'm just going to reject these loads because, my guy screwed up or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
I was the broker in that situation.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I think, and especially with this guy, I don't want to leave anybody high and dry. And
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
don't want him, obviously, like you said, word of mouth is a huge thing. I want him to know that we're a stand-up company and we're going to pay for the loads, and then we're going to figure it out and try and sell it to somebody else. And that's kind of what we did. We end up selling the material to somebody else. But now because of that, we're buying even more loads from that supplier.
No, and absolutely. And even on the payment side of things, same thing. Like I want no part of bad reviews because of payments, because that's something that we can definitely take control under our wing. So for us, it's like when it comes to payments, like that has to happen, like to trucking companies.
Yeah.
And I always make sure that I ask the trucking company, have you received your payment? And sometimes I'm a bit annoying. I'll ask a few times.
Right.
And if I don't get a respond, I'll even call them and ask, hey, have you received your money?
Right.
Like, is there a delay? Is there, because I need to know, because I don't want that that monkey hanging on my back. Because I want to make sure that that's all in line, because that's how you're going to build trust. That's how you're going to expand your business. And it just keeps everything clean. Like just keep the whole operation clean.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, it's super, I mean, obviously things happen, and, we always get into some discussions and problems and things like that. And some people are more cooperative than others. And, some people we have really good relationships with. And, if there's a problem, we work through it, and we work through it amicably. And like you said, politely, and try and talk about things instead of, getting mad and yelling and whatever, and doing things like that. But I mean, things happen. I mean, I had a situation recently where I just felt bad because I had a kind of a customer and a supplier that I've been dealing with. And, he felt like we kind of wronged him and we weren't getting him the right answers. And, I took it to heart, because I never want anybody to perceive myself like that.
Absolutely.
And I, like I said, I think that was the one instance where I was talking about earlier that I think we kind of dropped the ball on a little bit.
Yeah.
And, I didn't follow up like I should have, or whatever, and things were busy and blah, blah, blah. But that's really no excuse. I mean, that's, no excuse on our part. And, I try to tell them that, we apologize for that. And obviously we'll try and do better in the future, and, whatever. I mean, it's, you try and do the best you can and move on. And, everybody's trying to build relationships, but that's the whole thing. Like, that's why I like what you're doing. It's like, I want people to get to know me. I want people to get this whole reason for this podcast and posting on LinkedIn and doing some videos and sharing my experiences is because I want people to get to know me. It's like, come into my world and get to know who I am, because this is who you're doing business with.
I'm the same way. And I love making people laugh, making people smile. So for me, like, sharing some experience of mine in a joking light, like something that could put a smile on someone's face, man, I've already done God's work. Like I've already done it. Like when that happens, when someone's happy that I've posted something or shared something that even at times is obscene, something like foolish, some kind of some TikTok or something. If I can make somebody's day that much better, I've done my job.
Yeah. Well, you've been killing it lately. I love that one that you posted. That one you posted where the customer said it's one pallet. And like the pallet was like the whole.
That was a real load too. That
was it really?
That was actually what happened. So, because we had the driver,
awesome.
And that was on the asset. We also have some asset side of stuff that we're doing as well.
Yeah.
And we had our own assets, and we had the customers say, "Yeah, it's one pallet. We said, okay, we're gonna send in a 20-foot straight truck, our own." So yeah, no problem. We send it in, and driver's like, "Yeah, here's your one pallet." I'm like, "Oh my goodness, that's a crate and a half."
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
those
awesome.
things happen, and it makes it light, and that's what I love about the industry is no 2 days are alike. There's always something different, and always something that's either going to make you shake your head in a good way or make you shake your head because you're just shocked that this is happening. So.
Yeah, it always keeps you on your toes. That's for sure. And that's the same thing with my industry. I have a lot of friends who are like really structured in their day. You know what I mean? And I'm like, they're like, how do you not have a calendar? And I list things that I want to get done, but
Yep.
what happens every day is that it's reactionary. You know what I mean?
Yeah, depending on what's happening, what's going on down at the shop and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
I mean, I can have all these lofty goals that I want to get done every day, but in all reality, what happens is as soon as I sit down in my emails, it's like I'm just going back and forth and trying to solve problems. And, the day goes in directions that I don't even know what direction it is sometimes.
Yep. And I wanted to give people, just like people that want to do freight brokering or are in freight brokering, like if I come to you and you're in the plastics industry, like you should definitely get educated with the plastics industry as a freight broker or a
Yeah.
logistics professional, whether you're a 3PL selling your services. Don't go to an industry and have no idea what's going on. It's okay to ask, hey, what do you guys do, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But do some homework ahead of time, and then your questions should come like more specific and more direct as your relationship progresses. But don't go to someone and being like, hey, I run automotive loads and now I want to do your plastics, and you have no idea what's going on. Or hey, I run
Right.
produce shipments every single day, and now I want to do plastics, but I have no idea what plastics are. I don't know what your industry is all about.
Right.
Like it's good to show some acumen, even if it's beginner's knowledge. At least show interest, but it's got to be genuine. Don't show interest if you're just going to go in there and be fake about it.
Right. And do that research, whether it's plastics or whether it's,
Whatever,
food
yeah.
or whatever. But and from my perspective, that's what we look for. It's like, have you guys shipped plastic before? Are you not familiar with the process? Are you, do you know how to ship containers? You know what I mean? Stuff like that. But yeah, that's, you're exactly right. For those people that are, just getting in the business, that seems like a hugely important part to learn the different industries that you may want to provide your services for.
And also, if you're going to any industry, whether it's plastics or whatever, and you've established a relationship, you've done a few loads, and a customer comes to you and says, hey, I got these 4 skids, I need a drive in for this. It's 1,800 pounds. Don't be scared to offer a smaller vehicle to save them some money. Don't be scared to question it and say, hey, I did read that you are requesting a 53. Is it okay if we send in a small box truck, for example, for this load to save you some money? Because you're going to do it. Fuel costs, smaller vehicle, all that stuff, right? So don't be afraid to give suggestions, and you'll get better as things go along, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes a customer will send you a picture, like they'll send you a picture of modularized glass, and they'll be like, hey, I want this tarped and shipped. And you're like, well, you know what? It may be better if we put this on a curtain side or Conestoga trailer instead of getting it tarped to protect it better from the elements.
Right.
It's just much better and much cleaner that way.
Right.
Not saying that your customer won't know, but it's better to show that you understand that what may be a better, procedure to get something done, or maybe a better suggestion that they could, consider for the next time when they have that order ready to go out.
Right. Right. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. It's, providing those options. And, I tell my guys, I learned the most when I was younger about talking to people on the phone, talking to suppliers, learning the business. Like my suppliers and customers taught me about the business, And
you're a people's guy, Larry. I mean, honestly, like you're the type of person that, like, doing business with you is easy because you're not robotic. You are who you are. You're not afraid to show it. And those are the type of people that, like, I feel comfortable doing business, but I'm saying that most people will have a sense of relationship already tied to the fact that you're a down to earth type of human, right?
Yeah.
Which is great. It's fantastic for business too. And when you're naturally like that, it's fantastic.
Yeah. And back when I was younger, I was not like this when I was younger. I was more reserved. I didn't want to, didn't want to talk to anybody. When I was in college, I thought for sure I'd be happy doing a desk job and pushing papers and I don't have to talk
You
to anybody.
became like extroverted after, like
Yeah.
as
Oh,
you got older. Yeah,
oh, big time.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's
Big
awesome.
time. Yeah. Yeah. And I've even more over the last, I'd say 3 to 4 years even, because,
What changed? What was like the changing point? What?
well, I can tell you, I was always, when I got in the business, when I got in this business, the plastics business, I was kind of forced to be outgoing, and I really wasn't that person to like cold call and talk on the phone. And I was uncomfortable, but I took the job because I needed a job, and I was forced to do it. And, when I did it, I worked for a company for 5 or 6 years, working for them. And I really didn't like the business. Like I didn't think I was going to continue in the business even, because I was so turned off by the whole, oh, I got to be so outgoing. I got to call people. I have to,
Yeah.
constantly drag answers out of people. And
Yeah.
I didn't like it. You know what I mean? And then the way I started in business was for myself, was one of my customers actually approached me about leaving the company, and took me a couple years to even fathom that or do it on my own. But so eventually I left that business, and I didn't know if I didn't start my business right away, and I didn't know if I was going to do it or not. I took some time, and I applied for a bunch of different jobs, which I came very close to getting some other jobs in other industries, and I didn't end up getting those jobs. And I came back, and then I ended up starting my own business, and then it was the process from there. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you, the last probably 4 or 5 years, I've been really trying to, like I said, learn more. How can I be a better person? How can I improve my health, my mental health, my outlook on life, so I've been searching for a lot of different people online to, just people that I draw from, you know what I mean? And, a couple of those, Gary V's been a huge influence on me. You know, and along with a bunch of other people. It's not just him, it's Jesse
Joe
Gitzler.
Rogan was big for me. Joe
Yeah.
Rogan, we just
Yeah.
his push, his push to like just do it, like go through the motions and get better at it.
Right.
Whatever
I mean,
business or whatever you want to open up a business, just go through the motions, just get it going
right.
and figure
Right.
it out along the way. Same thing for his whole sorry to cut you off, but his
Yeah.
whole thing with exercise, like that extra motivation was like
Yeah.
a godsend.
Yeah. His show is a huge influence on me, because a lot of his guests he's had on have been, that's where I've gotten a lot of like, oh, this guy's amazing, like David Goggins or
Yeah.
even
Yeah,
Cam
that guy's
Hanes.
wild.
I mean, Goggins he's a friggin' animal. I mean, that guy, but that you want to run through a brick wall, you start listening to his
The
podcast.
text messages he sends to Joe.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Conquer your inner bitch.
Yeah. I know. It's so funny. Yeah, those are so funny. But even Jesse Itzler too was a guy that lived with Goggins for 6 months, and he was just on him all the time. We're gonna, it's raining out, we're gonna go for a 4-hour run. It's like,
Oh, that creates true like strong people. That kind
yeah.
of mentality.
Yeah.
So
But I mean, there's been a lot of like, so like all this whole, learning and just drawing from different people. That's kind of where I made my change. It was like, I'm okay with getting out there now. I don't really give a shit what anybody thinks about me. And
mhm.
I had a big, I think everybody has that issue. People always worry about what people are going to think of me, and what, oh my God, if I do a podcast, who's going to watch, and who's going to be, talking about me behind my back. And it's like,
Mhm.
I just finally realized through all these things, Gary V's been saying it, and a lot of it just doesn't matter. Like in the end, what does any of that matter? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
you're right. Yeah, no, you just do you, and you go through the motions that are necessary for success. Like
yeah.
you cannot do it without it. So
Yeah. And I don't think I'll ever be like 100% there. And I don't think anybody really ever will be 100% there about worrying about what other people
but
think
it's
about
your
you.
own flavor, it's your own type, it's your own
Right.
culture, it's your own type of show, your own type of and people can learn from this. People can come and listen and hear other people's experiences, and that's what I love about it. That's why I hopped on so quickly. I was like, yeah, for sure, like guaranteed. That's you got my.
And that's kind of what I want to do is, you know, just bring people on that I know and I think can bring value to whoever, and you know, just keep learning and you know, different parts of the, you know, the industry. That's why, like last week I had on, you know, Jason McCormick. I don't know if you have any conversation with him, but he's a great guy, and he's kind of in the same business as me, but not really. He does a lot more different kind of recycling or whatever, you know, steel and cardboard, and you know,
I've seen him active on LinkedIn, but I haven't had a sit down conversation with him.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I mean, he's definitely somebody you should hook up with, and I'll give you his number or whatever. But he's a super guy, and that's what I want to do. I want to bring on, you know, really good people, really you know, just get some good people on and learn about their different industries and what they do. And, you know, it's, you know, just kind of shoot the shit, you know what I mean? And that's kind of the way I am. And I like to learn and continue to learn and keep going on this whole process of learning, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm the same way, even on the carrier side of things too. When I'm talking with drivers on the phone and stuff, I mean, drivers sometimes will call just to talk, like just to vent about something, just to have someone else to talk to. I've bought from drivers, like I bought honey, I bought puppies, I bought.
Oh, really?
Just, they'll call like, hey, I got a side business. This is what I'm selling. And you just for support. I bought a book. I bought some poetry from another guy. Shirts, hats. I mean, people are just trying to make it in this world, man. Just support them if you can do it. You know.
Exactly. That's why I'm so big on small businesses. I'll go in and I'll do 100% of my Christmas shopping small business. You know what I mean? And
that's awesome.
And I, you know, I'll go in, and if I see my wife always mocks me because I literally have probably 40 hoodies, and, you know, I'll go into a business, and if they're selling a hoodie, I'm like, great, I'll take one, you know, it's like, that's awesome, you know? And I love, you know, that's just my thing. I like wearing hoodies, but, you know, but I'll go.
That's awesome. I actually wanted to wear my Flames jersey before we started, and when you turned on the camera, I was like, oh, now I regret not wearing it.
I know.
I was gonna come in, and I have like 8 or 9 Flames jerseys. I was gonna wear all of them and be like, hey, is this a little bit hot here? Like, take it off, and the next one's like the Flames jersey.
Yeah, that's perfect. No, I saw your last post about you know, whatever, do business with your friends or whatever.
I hope y'all Oilers fans enjoy this one.
Yeah, exactly. So I had to break out my old school. This is a number 18 Danny Gare.
Yeah.
Very old school, way before your time and pretty much before my time too. But you know,
that is old school. Yeah.
1970, you know, 6 or 7. I was probably 6 or 7 years old. But yeah, that was Danny Gare was my first, you know.
What about rivalry wise? Who do you dislike, or who would you say? I can't say hate, but who do you dislike in terms of rivalry wise for yourself when the Buffalo Sabres play? Who do you dislike or irritate you?
Well, I'll tell you, and everybody in Buffalo will have the same answer. It's Toronto.
Is it the Leafs fans though that hop over to watch the game? Or
that's part of it. It's like that's part of it. I've had season tickets for years.
Oh yeah.
And that's always it. I usually sell my Leafs tickets because it's annoying. It's just
it's a sellout Leafs game.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like a lot of season ticket holders will sell their Leafs tickets because you know
it's the same thing in Detroit. I go watch the Red Wings play, and same thing when the Leafs are in town. I mean, there's no point. It's all Leafs fans. Like it's
yeah. But I'll tell you, it's like that with any Canadian team that we play.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see, you know, whether it's Calgary or whether it's Edmonton, even, you know, sometimes we don't play them very often, but I mean, even if we play Montreal, Montreal is about 6 hours away, but we'll see a good influx of Canadian jerseys.
Well, I heard it's actually it's a good place to catch a game. The Sabres. I mean, it's entertainment value. So
yeah. But yeah, the Leafs are definitely the biggest rivalry, and yeah, I mean, they're you either like to go to those games or you don't like to go to those games because it's fun. They're fun in the aspect of, because it's usually like a 50-50 crowd, it's usually, a pretty wild time, it's like, definitely like playoff atmosphere kind of
and
all
the
the time.
Sabres have their number for
Yeah.
recently. They've been playing well against them.
Yeah. So that's always a big rivalry, but yeah, hockey's a weird sport. I always, there's not many sports where you like genuinely hate different players. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And hockey's one of those. I mean, I'm an old school hockey guy. Like I love the whole, I think today's game is kind of weak. Like I don't like that they don't fight. They don't.
I liked last night when Lucic went after Cassian at the end there and told him like, no, none of that. I love that. I love that aspect of the game. So
yeah, and those are two old school, not that they're old school, not that they're old, but old school attitude guys. Lucic has been around for a long time, and how many playoff series has he been in? But I mean, Cassian,
it's the same thing. Like I'm from Europe, from Bosnia originally, like I said, and like over there, soccer rivalries are. I mean, it's insane. Like the villages, like in my part of Bosnia, like it's wild. I mean, we're talking villages, like 500 people in one village and like maybe 800 in the other.
Yeah.
And they'll play each other. And after the game, like the visitors that came to watch, the domestic village will wait for them at the bus stop with like whatever they could find, like pipes, whatever.
Oh my God.
Mess them up, like mess them. Don't come to my village and cheer on another team. That's not going to happen. It's kind of like Philadelphia. Like I've heard it. You go down there, there's a good chance there's gonna be some fighting going on. So I mean, but I love it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I love that. I love the Green Street hooligan type of atmosphere. People just going nuts to cheer on their team.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I grew up with. I grew up with, the Rob Ray and Brad May and Matt Barnaby's and and even before that, was the real old school Jim Schoenfeld and Gare and those guys. I mean, that was just part of the game. It was part of the game to fight somebody. And now it seems like now it's just, I don't know, it seems so watered down or something to me. It's like, somebody has a clean hit and then the guy's got to go fight him right away. Well, it's like, it's just a clean hit. Why are you fighting the guy?
There's a lot of clean hits and then it just leads to it. You're right. No, I do have issues with the game as it stands today, but hopefully when it's like playoffs have been great this year. There's been a lot of after the whistle type of stuff. Yeah. So I really enjoy that. I love that entertainment.
It is playoffs is like a whole different game almost. You know what I mean? Then it's just the intensity. The intensity is turned up so much. I mean, those guys are, checking when they wouldn't normally check in the regular season, and really. Well,
aside from the regular season, just watching this first round that just passed. I mean, I was telling my dad, I'm like, man, this is the hardest trophy to win. Like this is so hard.
It is. It is for sure. Yeah.
You have to see the same guys sometimes seven games in a row just to get to this next round. I mean, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Right. And how long does it go on? I mean, it goes on for months. It seems like
the end of June. End of June. I mean, I don't know about this year. They were a bit delayed with the start of the playoffs, so I don't know about this year how long it's going to be. But I'm hoping it ends before the new season begins.
Exactly. I know it's just unbelievable. But I've always loved. When I was a kid, my dad took me to a couple Sabres games here and there, and we didn't go to that many really. But I've always enjoyed. I always thought it was such a treat to go to a game when I was younger because we didn't do it all the time. You know what I mean? And I made a point to take my kids to see the games, and because I
can't wait, man.
I think it's the best sport by far to watch live.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And for me, it's just the skate, even just the skating part of it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because I never grew up skating, and I never was a hockey player. I played basketball. I didn't play different, I played baseball or whatever. And then my son, who's 23, 22 now, he played hockey for 10 years, so
as well. Yeah, awesome.
yeah, so he played like, travel and the whole deal or whatever. And I was, I just loved it. I loved watching him play. I loved the whole, just amazed at how well, he could skate, and then how well these guys in the NHL can skate. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Yes, McDavid alone from Edmonton.
Yeah.
That guy's in a world of his own. I mean,
Yeah.
every time he has a puck, I'm just like holding my breath, waiting for someone to check him or something, so I can
Yeah.
move on with my life. But
Yeah, exactly. I know. He's one of those guys that you're just like, he's a step above. And I kind of felt that way about Eichel too. Like he was, when he had to hit those first couple strides, I mean, he was gone, I mean,
oh, he's a talented player.
Yeah,
I know he's
yeah.
had some health issues and stuff,
yeah,
the hips
yeah.
and whatnot, but hopefully there's a new generational player waiting to go to Buffalo that's going to be
Yeah.
like next level, something along the lines of Eichel. So
Yeah. We'll see. So whatever. I mean, it is what it is, but yeah, I mean, it's, like I said, great having you on, and I really wanted to get you on. And how's your, I know we've been back and forth with some diet tips too. I mean, have you been doing anything recently?
I do go to the gym every day. So weightlifting, every day I do my weightlifting sessions, whether, sometimes isolate muscles, sometimes full body kettlebell workouts.
Yeah.
Kettlebells, if you haven't gotten into kettlebells or someone hasn't, I mean, that it'll kick your ass. It'll kick your ass. I mean, just swinging them around is enough to beat you up.
Yeah,
And
I just got mine out the other day. Yeah, I was usually during the summer, or when it's nicer weather, I'll get outside in my driveway, and I got kettlebell and a couple of dumbbells and a mat, and yeah, I mean, I hit it hard, and that kettlebell kicks my ass.
For sure, especially if you're doing like clean presses and stuff. I mean, it can, like, even like it doesn't have to be heavy. Like I do have 75 pounders, but I also go with the 25s. It's completely fine.
Yeah.
It'll kick your ass too, right?
Yeah.
So if I was to give advice, I would say that consistency and persistence is key.
Yeah.
But your fitness goals begin in the gym.
Yeah.
In the kitchen.
In the kitchen.
They begin in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Like your diet is everything. And I like the 80-20 rule. It's worked good for me. So that's like, for me, it's like, I'll do like, I try, at least I'll do like 80 for me personally. And I followed a bit down the Joe Rogan path of the carnivore diet. So I'll do like 80% protein. And then 20% is like mixture of fiber and fat. Sometimes I'll switch it up. I'll do like reverse. I'll do 20% protein. The rest is just fat. But I try to stay away from heavy breads, carbs, anything that's going to convert into sugar if I'm not moving.
Yeah.
And so that's really what I'd say. I'd also say if you haven't added sauna into your daily workout session, if you have a sauna at your gym or potentially at your house, it does wonders. Like, it does wonders. It's quicker recovery times, better sleep. The anxiety is like gone.
Yeah.
In addition to that, with the whole heat shock proteins being released in the bloodstream, that really, really does help with any kind of workout you did prior to entering the sauna. You're going to feel the benefits from it 5x.
Oh, right? Really? Yeah.
So you're improving that way as well. So,
yeah.
And of course, getting rid of toxins by opening up the pores and all that stuff. So
yeah, it's funny you talk about a sauna, because I almost bought one a couple months ago. Mm-hmm. And we were at the home show in Buffalo, and I saw one there, and it was like infrared.
I have an infrared at home. So
okay. Yep. That's what this was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been going back and forth. It's, I don't have a huge house, so we're trying to like figure out, where where it's going to go or
Yeah,
whatever.
one of my rooms is dedicated to mine and it only fits 2 people. So it's bulky. It's
Yeah.
bulky and it comes modular. So you just like set it up, connect the dots, and it's ready
Yep.
to go.
Yep.
And I've loved it. It's helped me so much through the pandemic. I've had it now for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. It's so good
Yeah.
for recovery and any kind of
Yeah.
muscle or inflammation in your body. It's
Yeah.
especially if you're consistent, if you go every night. And it
Yeah.
only gets to like 153 or 154 Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
So it's not like too crazy,
Right.
but it burns you like from the inside out, it feels like
Yeah.
you're sweating like crazy.
Yeah. 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 Well, you've convinced me because I have a place for it that we've been thinking about. So I just haven't pulled the trigger yet, but it's definitely been on my radar to do. I have, we have a hot tub and so I do that pretty often.
You'll feel
But
the benefits. You'll feel it as if you stay consistent. Every other night is fine. You don't have to do 7 nights a week.
yeah.
Every
Yeah.
other night, if you're cooking at 154 Fahrenheit, you're gonna feel it. And
Yeah.
after that, have a nice shower. Man, the sleep has never been better. The sleep
Yeah.
has never been better. And have you ever tried like a frequency healing or frequency like listening to frequencies on like YouTube or whatever?
No, I've just recently heard about that, but I haven't really looked into it at all.
Yeah, there's a certain ones like 528 hertz, for example.
Mm-hmm.
They call it like Earth's frequency or something.
Okay.
And man, it's weird, man. Like it vibrates your whole body. You feel your
really?
body vibrating while you're listening.
Wow.
And it relaxes you. Like during it, you're like laying down. It's like a form of meditation.
Okay.
When you're done, you're a new person. Like you're so full of energy, and you're just everything's good. Everything's functioning good. Like it's fantastic.
That's
it's
unbelievable.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
And
I gotta look into
you
that.
you have to allow it. So when you're about to do it, you kind of tell yourself, okay, I'm allowing this energy to flow through me. You
Right.
literally tell yourself, I'm going to allow this energy to flow through me.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like
Wow.
it does wonders. I'll send you a link.
Yeah.
You
for
can
sure.
listen to one session that's like 45 minutes long.
Yeah.
You're going to be listening to it. It's some guy talking at the beginning, but also some like nice like waterfall music. And you're like, what the fuck is this? What is this, Nurf? Who are you? But after 45 minutes, you're going to thank me. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But don't eat garlic. For whatever reason, if you eat garlic before the session, the energy doesn't work.
Get out of
So,
here. Are
I
you
swear.
serious?
So if it works on you after garlic, you are like some like vampire hybrid or something. I don't even know. But
that is so
honestly,
funny.
like it's weird. I tested it too.
Yeah.
I tried garlic.
Did you? Yeah.
I felt nothing after it.
Really?
Like I felt nothing. So definitely
that's
don't
awesome.
eat garlic. Don't eat garlic. Try it. Lay in a quiet room in your bed. As long as the light on your phone is on. So don't listen on like, don't listen it and then like turn your phone like this.
Yeah.
Hold your phone like upwards.
Okay.
Let the energy fill the room by the light being on.
Okay.
You will notice a difference. If the light is off, if you're doing like this, you're not going to feel it. You got to have that energy in the room.
Okay.
This gentleman has live sessions Tuesdays and I believe Thursdays every week. This one guy that I'll send you the link of.
Yeah.
And the live sessions are tenfold more aggressive. So like it's like you start shaking, your limbs are shaking, flopping all over the place.
Oh, really? Wow.
Oh, it's wild, but you feel so good after. You feel like, and it's all just energy, Earth's energy. That's it. I never believed in this stuff until I tried it myself.
Yeah.
And then I got hooked, and it's for like any kind of problems like inflammation and things of that nature, like body aches, anxiety, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's like next level.
Yeah, that's awesome.
No need for pills, no need for none of that stuff.
Yeah, and that's always what I'm looking for. I had sugar issues and things like that, and I took medication for a couple years for it. And then one day I decided, I'm like, I'm just not doing it anymore. I'm going to totally adjust my diet, and I don't eat any carbs. I don't eat any sugar or anything like that. I eat vegetables and meat mostly. And yeah, I pretty much corrected my, type 2 diabetes to be in the normal range or whatever. So, so I'm the same way. I don't want to take any medication I don't have to. And, I'm just trying to be as healthy as I can as I get older. It's like I'm 51. I'm 51 this year, and I'm really trying to, get better, not worse. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be in better shape as I get older.
Yeah,
I feel like
absolutely.
now I'm in better shape than I ever was, pretty much.
You're ahead of the game because you're doing it in reverse. A lot of people give up. They're like, "Oh, I'm getting older. I'm not." No, you gotta now.
Yeah.
You gotta up the ante. You gotta get at it. You gotta get
Yeah,
up.
you got to do it double time. You got to really work your ass off. And it's like I do spinning, and I do 3 to 4 days of cardio every week. And then I do, usually 2 days of weights
Mhm.
and kettlebells or whatever. But like you said, even more when you get older, it starts in the kitchen.
Oh yeah. Oh
Because
yeah. That's the metabolism and everything else.
yeah, I mean, you can work out all you want, but if you're
Yeah.
eating like crap, then you're just not
Yeah.
going to get anywhere.
You're right. Yeah, no, but that's good that you've taken the initiative and you see that and you feel that. My dad's moving all the time. Also, he's being active. He's turning 55, God willingly, third of July of
Yeah,
this year.
yeah.
So I got him on this whole this healing frequency stuff, and
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah,
he's hooked too. My
yeah,
wife too, she's hooked. She's all
yeah.
for it. She's like
Really?
and when it goes live, so he goes live late at night, like 9 p.m. Eastern time. So it's perfect because it works out. You don't have to like delay anything like throughout
Right,
the day. You can
right.
actually do it. You have time at later on in the night to
Yeah,
do it.
yeah,
So it works out. At least for me on Tuesdays, I can listen to it
yeah,
live when
yeah,
it's
yeah.
available.
That's good. Well, definitely send me that link, and I'll post the link in the comments here
No
when we
problem.
when
No
we
problem
post
at
the
all.
video too, and then people can check that out because
No
I
problem.
read.
Like I said, if it's gonna help, if I help one person to
Yeah,
experience what I've experienced with it,
yeah,
perfect.
yeah,
Perfect. And I want
yeah,
your feedback. I want you to tell me, Nerf, this
yeah,
fucking sucked, or
yeah,
Nerf, this was fantastic. Or
yeah,
Nerf, I don't know what you're doing, but I felt nothing. I didn't eat no
yeah.
garlic, but I didn't feel nothing. Like I want your valued opinion
I'll
back. So,
say to you, Nerf, I need a lesson. I didn't do it
yeah.
right.
Watch you become a big fan and like get his memorabilia or something.
That's it. I'll do it. Well, hey, it's been great having you on. And like I said, I know we had a lot of things in common with diet and the whole,
For sure.
working out and stuff like that. And definitely appreciate you coming on. And so where can, if people see you, where can they reach out to you? I mean, send me your information. I'll put it in the comments or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I'll send
yeah,
you a link, but just generally LinkedIn is where I'm at really
yeah,
a lot of the time. They can also check me out on TikTok, for example, if they want. It's
yeah,
Logistics Dad.
yeah,
Pretty simple,
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
simple handle there.
yeah,
On LinkedIn, again, if they search for Nerf, I'll probably one of the only Nerfs in the world. So
yeah, yeah.
they might get like Nerf ball advertisements and
Yeah.
stuff, but
Yeah.
they'll find me as well. So Nerf Nurf.
Yeah.
If they search that, Priority Ships is the company. They'll be able to find me that way as well. And I post frequently, as you know, on LinkedIn. And I hope you continue as well. And your motivational stuff has been good too, and sharing your experiences and giving food for thought has been a value add to my network. So
Yeah, I appreciate that. And like I said, it's, part of, like I mentioned before, was like part of what I do is really to help, remind myself kind of what I'm going through and what I'm working on. And, I'm no expert or anything like that, but I've been through a lot, and it's nice to get feedback where people are like, hey, I saw your video or I saw your post and it really helped me, I'm going through the same thing or whatever, it's just nice to get that karma out there. And because I believe it's 100% true. You know, it's
For sure. And this has been a blast. So thank you again for giving me the opportunity to just talk shop, really talk about everything about your industry, about, you know, the industry that I'm in. They're interconnected. So there's always, I mean, logistics is a part of every supply chain. And I think in the last 2 years, people really understand that fully, that logistics is huge part of making sure your company is sustainable and able to meet their objectives from a business perspective as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I appreciate it, Nurf. Have a great night.
Take care, my friend. Thank you very much.
Yeah, how you living, B? Yo, I'm lounging. Yeah, how you living, Ski? Yo, I'm just lounging, B. Yeah, how you living, G? Yo, I'm just lounging, B. Yeah, how you living? I'm lounging.